All right, in this video, we are going to solve these two equations over here, and we're going to solve them without a calculator. Now, there are many ways to solve these equations, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my fractions. So let's take a look at the first problem over here. This 3 just has a 1 in the denominator, and this 9 just has a 1 in the denominator. So in order to eliminate my fractions, I want to make a common denominator for the entire equation. Now, if you're struggling to find your lowest common denominator, what you can do is you can list out your multiples for each denominator. So for example, my multiples for 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. That should be enough. And then I don't have to ever list out multiples for 1 because that's just pretty simple. Multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15. And then I don't actually have to go further because you want to notice your first repetition in these two. And in this case, my first repetition is 10, which means that my common denominator for this entire question is going to be 10. So in order to turn 2 into 10, I need to multiply by 5. I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 5 over there. To turn 1 into 10, I need to multiply by 10. Turn 5 into 10, I need to multiply by 2. And then over here, again, I need to multiply by 10. I'm going to write this out neatly now in the next step. So I have 5 over 10x plus 30 over 10 equals 2 over 10x minus 90 over 10. Now that we have a common denominator and it's an equation, I can just cancel out all my denominators and just rewrite the equation without any denominators. So I have 5x plus 30 equals 2x minus 90. The next thing I need to do is I need to bring all like terms on the same side. I'm going to start by just subtracting 2x on both sides. That way I have only the x terms on the left side. So here these will basically cancel. And over here 5x minus 2x is just 3x. Then I want to bring all the numbers to the right side. So I'm going to subtract by 30 on both sides. Negative 90 minus 30 is just negative 120. And finally divide both sides by 3. And I get x equals to negative 40. Now, once you get your solution in the test, you should move on to the next question. But when you complete the test, if you have extra time in the test, it's always a good idea to check whether your solution is right or not. In order to check whether your solution is right or not, you can sub it back into the original equation in the question. So you'll do 1 over 2, but instead of x, you'll put negative 40 plus 3 equals 1 over 5 negative 40 minus 9. And then we'll solve either side to see whether they're both equal. So 1 times negative 40 is just negative 40 over 2, and then plus 3. And over here, we just have negative 40 divided by 5 minus 9. Negative 40 divided by 2 is negative 20. Here it's negative 8. And then we just have negative 17 equals negative 17, so that we know our solution is 100% correct in this question because we did this little check over here. Let's go to the second question. Let's try the exact same thing. So I'm going to start by finding a common denominator. Again, if you can't do it mentally, make sure you list out all your multiples and find the first repetition. We have 3 denominators now, so we're checking for all 3 numbers. So as we notice in this one, the first repetition in all 3 is 12. So my common denominator is 12. This 2x just has a 1 on the bottom here. This over here is all one term, by the way, because the bracket makes this multiplication, which makes this all a single term. So I need to turn everything into 12. Over here, I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 4. Over here, it's going to be by 3. Over here, it's going to be by 12. And over here, it's just by 2. So now I'll rewrite my equation. Then I have a common denominator for everything, so I can cancel it out. I have 4x plus 2 minus 3 equals 24x minus 2. Then I have a parentheses here or brackets, so I want to get rid of the brackets, so I'm going to distribute the 4 inside the bracket. And then I can combine these two like terms. And then I can bring the x terms. I'll bring all the x terms to the left side. So I'm going to subtract by 24x on both sides. So these cancel on this side, and 4 minus 24 is negative 20x. And I want to move the numbers to the right side, so I'll subtract by 5 on both sides. So negative 20x equals negative 7. Last, I will divide by negative 20. Negative 7 over negative 20 cannot really be reduced, although I can cancel out the negatives because a negative divided by a negative is positive, which means that my final answer is x equals to 7 over 20. Again, once you complete your test, you should do a quick check to make sure this solution is right. So I'll do the check over here. I have 1 over 3, 7 over 20 plus 2 minus 1 over 4 equals 2 times 7 over 20 minus 1 over 6. So as we can see here, this is a pretty difficult check. So you probably wouldn't have to worry too much about doing it, but I'm going to do it really quick over here just to show you that the solution is correct. The first thing we got to do is we got to actually make a common denominator inside over here. So it's a pretty easy one to do mentally. I'm just going to multiply the top and bottom by 20 so that we have the same denominator in there. So I have 1 over 3, and inside here I have 7 over 20 plus 40 over 20 minus 1 over 4. I'll just simplify the left side first, then I'll go to the right side later. So now I'm going to combine these in the bracket. That is just 47 over 20. And then if I multiply these, 1 times 47 is 47, and 3 times 20 is 60. And then again, I got to make a common denominator between these two. And my lowest common denominator will be 60. So again, this check is a pretty difficult check. Most probably, I wouldn't worry about doing this one if I got a question this difficult in the test. However, if you got an easier one like the previous one, you could probably do the check. You'd probably be able to find your solution really quick. If you enjoy a challenge, then you can do this one over here. I'm just going to simplify this over here. 47 minus 15 is 32. 32 over 60 can be reduced to 16 over 30, which can again be reduced to 8 over 15. Let's see if the right side over here matches this solution. So I'll start by multiplying this 2 into the bracket. 2 times 7 is 14, so I have 14 over 20 minus 1 over 6. 14 over 20 can be reduced to 7 over 10 minus 1 over 6. My lowest common denominator for these two is 30. I'm going to multiply by 3 on the top and bottom here, and 5 on the top and bottom over here. That's 21 over 30 minus 5 over 30, which is just 16 over 30. And if I reduce it, as you can see, I get the exact same thing on the right side of the equation, which means that I know my solution is 100% correct. Although, like I mentioned, this check is pretty difficult. Do not attempt to start your checks until you have completely finished your tests and you have no more questions to answer. Once you've completed your test, if you want, you can go ahead and do some checks. But as you can see, in the first example, the check was really easy. In the second example, the check is extremely difficult. So I don't really suggest doing it here unless you're looking for a challenge. But again, not really recommended in such a tough question. If you made it to the end of this video and found this content helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.